Hello everyone. This is Anis Alam with you all, and you are watching my channel Anis Search Technology. In this session, we are going to discuss database connectivity. It is also a very important topic under the C#, okay, and ASP.NET. Fine. So in the last classes, we have seen some examples related to the C#, and this is also a very important concept. So let's get started. So just a moment. What exactly the database connectivity? Okay, you know that something is front end and something is back end. When we interact with the user, we basically create the front end. And if we talk about ASP.NET, ASP.NET is a technology, and ASP.NET provides interaction forms and presentation. Okay, so in these lectures, we are basically learning the database connectivity with ASP.NET, and the backend coding we will use the C#, and the database which we are going to use is a SQL server. Slowly, I will clear each and everything. So first of all, just a moment, this is our front end, my application, which interacts with the user. This is my ASP.NET application. Just a moment. Okay. So in this application, a form is created. And in this form, I'm taking some data from the user. Suppose I'm taking the name and email ID, designation, and salary. These are very important information for us, and this information would be used in the future. So if this information is very important, so we should have the permanent storage for this information. Okay, just a moment. Suppose here, name of employee, and this is age of AMP. Okay, and this is designation of AMP. Okay, and this one is the salary. We can say that I'm just taking some dry run purpose data. The real data we will see after some time when I will start the practical. Okay, salary. Okay, fine. So this information I'm taking through a form. Now this information should be stored in database. Okay, so this is my database. We can create the database here. This is our database. This database can be of any database like Oracle, MongoDB, MySQL, SQL Server. But in this session, we are just concentrating on two things. ASP.NET is a front end and the backend is SQL Server. Okay, connectivity is almost same in all the databases, no problem at all. So just a moment, this is our SQL Server. So now you have to understand carefully. This is the first application and this is another application. This is application 1, we can say that. This is application 1, AP1, and this is application 2, AP2. So these are the two different applications. So there is no coordination and connection between them. So how the data will store into the database? There should be some connection which we have to establish between the application 1 and application 2. So suppose we want to store some data into the database. So there should be some connection. Understand? We have to establish some connection between these two applications. That connection is called database connectivity. Okay. So hope you understand. This is a very simple definition. Database connectivity. Understand? So this is called a database connectivity. Okay. After database connectivity, we can transfer the data or we can retrieve the data. Retrieve means the data which is already stored in the SQL server can get at any moment of time and can be used anywhere in the application. Fine. Second thing is that how the data is stored and how the data will fetch. For that, we need a language. We need a different kind of language. Okay, so just a moment. We need a different kind of language. That language is called SQL, structured query language. With the help of structured query language, basically structured query language is only the language which can talk to the database. So for talking purpose, we need a language. That language is called SQL, structured query language. So a structured query language will use to store the data into the database, and stored data can be fetched by this language only. Okay, so in this basically in this project, what we are going to use, number one, we are going to use the technology ASP.NET, okay, for framing of the form purpose. Another thing, we required the C# to fetch the data from the applications, okay. And also we need one more language, that is called the structured query language, to transfer this data from this application to SQL server. And one thing also we required, that is the SQL server. Okay, number one ASP.NET, number two C# coding awareness, and the number three is SQL query awareness, and the fourth one is SQL server. Okay, now there is a concept in the ASP.NET. That concept is called ADO.NET. The full form of the ADO is ActiveX Data Object. This is a concept which is basically available in the ASP.NET to provide the database connectivity. Okay, so just a moment. I'm just writing some theoretical point over here. ADO.NET. Okay, the full form of the ADO.NET is ActiveX Data Object. Step by step, I'm clearing each and every point. It is basically used for database connectivity. It is nothing but the database connectivity provision in ASP.NET. Okay, so it is a collection of, number one, it is a collection of pre-defined namespaces, classes, and DLL, डायनामिक लिंक लाइब्रेरीज. बेसिकली बहुत सारी चीजों का ये कलेक्शन है. इसमें से जितनी चीजों की जरूरत हमें होगी हम उनको यूज करेंगे. ओके, इट्स जस्ट लाइक द ओशियन. ओके, so after that, two important namespaces. Namespaces are basically namespaces in which all the classes are stored. Namespaces just like the package. So two important namespaces which is basically used for ADO.NET connectivity. Number one, you have to write down, this is a very important namespaces. Without these namespaces, we cannot do database connectivity. Number one is system.data, and number two, system.data.SQL client. These two namespaces are very important. And what are the important classes which we use for the database connectivity? Number one, now important classes which will be used for database connectivity. Okay, what are these important classes? Just a moment, I'm clearing each and everything. Number one SQL Connection. This class is responsible to create the connection between the ASP.NET application and database. This class is responsible to create the connection between ASP.NET application and database. Understand? This is a very important class. Okay. Done. Second important class is connection state. It checks whether the database is in position to accept the data or not. Something is closed and something is open. If something is closed, then we cannot send anything. Okay, so it check basically the connection is open or not. Understand? It check. It is also a predefined class to check the current connection. It is used to check the current connection, whether it is open or closed. Number 3, if we talk about these two very important, apart from that, one more important class is SQL command. SQL command. This is basically used to deal with SQL queries. It is used to execute the SQL commands query. Understand? Now, after that, some more important classes are there like SQL data adapter, data table. That we will discuss in the next coming videos. But in this session, these classes are sufficient. So immediately we have to switch to the practical session. So for practical session, I'm just opening the Visual Studio. Parallelly, if you want to do the practical, you can do along with me. Okay. So first of all, I just want to create a form. So I'm just taking a fresh project, file, new, website. Okay, we have to click on the website. Whenever we start the work in the ASP.NET, we just go with the website. Clicking the website. It is opening. Okay, just a moment. I'm just taking any meaningful name. Here we have to choose ASP.NET empty website because I want to create this website according to me. So my website, I'm just clicking on OK over here. It will take a little bit time. Just click on OK. That's just a simple warning message of upgradation versions. Okay, fine. Now you are seeing the blank area. Okay, now first of all, we have to go view and click on Solution Explorer. This is a Solution Explorer, and just a moment. I'm just magnifying. This is a practical important session. Okay. So in the right click, my website is the name of my website. Just right click, and we have to add the page. So how to add the page? Just right click, add. And after that, you can go with the web page, web form, if it is available. If it is not available, just click on add new item. Okay. Now the web form is there. Now you can take any web form. Just a moment. I'm just taking the name EMPLOY employee. Okay. And I'm clicking add. So the page is add. Just a moment. I'm just closing this magnify. Okay, fine. This is created. Okay, I'm just increasing 200. Then you will be easily understand and no visualization issues. Okay, fine. Now we have to immediately create a form. So everything just keep it default. And here I'm just taking the H2 employee registration form and HR is there. Okay. Now after that, here I'm just taking a table for better presentation and TD. Enter employee name, okay, and TD. In my lecture, I have already told you some days before about the controls of the ASP.NET. It's my personal suggestion. You just watch, then you will understand there are some ASP controls. So ASP colon text box ID is equal to txt name, and after that run at is equal to server. Each and every control run at, each and every control of the ASP.NET is a server side control. So we use run at is equal to server. And we have to close it. Understand? Now the same thing we required, suppose in the designing, I required the name, city, salary. I'm just taking the three things, that's it. So just copying this portion 3 times, or we can also type, but for saving the time, I'm just copying and paste employee name, employee city, and EMP salary. Understand? And this is the txt name, this is txt city, and this is txt sal. Txt salary we can take as a number, so ASP colon text box, and just text mode is equal to, here we can choose number. So the user cannot type the salary in alphabets. Okay, so text mode is equal to number means now the user has to strictly typed all the numbers. So just a moment here. Fine. Now one more, TR and TD. Okay, summation. So I'm just clicking over here. I'm just ASP, 1 second, ASP colon button, ID is equal to BTN, name is equal. Text is equal to save record, and run it is equal to server. Fine, it's closed. Okay, now everything is okay. I'm doing a light CSS for the better presentation. In the head section, style, table comma tr comma td. Td is basically the column and tr is the row. Padding colon 10 pixel and color colon blue. Okay, fine, absolutely fine. I'm just saving it and just running it to check how the output is coming. My form is prepared. Okay, I'm just clicking OK. Employee form is coming on screen. The first application always takes some time. Okay, this application is created and it is displaying. Okay, so I'm just again coming to the design part. So this portion is created. This portion is created. This application is created. Now we have to take the data and store into the, this is a major part of this. Okay, the designing part is over. Okay. Now we have to do something. To store this data, what we have to do, we have to do few things in the database. Just a moment. I'm just writing here database work. हमें डेटाबेस में क्या क्या करना है? नंबर वन, we have to create a database. Inside database, we have to create the table, because each and every database have a different protocols and a different format to store the data. So without database or without table, any database does not accept the data. So first of all, we have to switch on database. So how to move to the database? So I'm using the SQL server. So the shortcut of the SQL server, just in the run, you have to type SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. I'm clicking OK. Now the SQL is open. So here, Windows authentication I have used. And it is my suggestion to all of you, just to do the Windows authentication and click on connect. So these are the existing database. You can expand and see. A lot of databases are there I've created. So just a moment, I'm just creating one database. Magnify. Okay. So right click and new database. So I'm taking one database name, testing database. This is my database name, testing database. आप चाहें तो कहीं पर, if you want, you can write somewhere. Okay. Now just clicking on OK. My database is created. Where is the testing database? Here's the testing database and coming the last. Okay. Now in the testing database, we have to create a table. So just expand it. In the table folder is there, right click and create a new table. Now we have to decide the fields of the table. Okay. You know that this is the rule of the database. In every table, there must be a primary key. What is the primary key? Any field which should not be empty and that should be unique. Okay, so employee, if you're talking about the employee, so employee ID can be a primary key. So EMP ID, understand? And of course it should be integer. Okay, now after that EMP name. EMP name, I'm taking the varchar as the data type and 50 characters long, no problem. Okay, and employee name. After that, we have to check, just a moment, we have to check in the form what the fields I have taken. Just a moment. Name, city, and salary. Okay, name, city, and salary, no problem. Just a moment. I'm just cancel the magnify session. 1 second. Okay. Cancel, it's a warning. So this is, hope it is visible or we can expand it. Okay, employee name. Then after that, we have to type employee city. Employee city, we can take again varchar 50. Okay. And after that, employee salary. Employee salary must be int type. Fine. So two things I have taken the integer and two things I have taken a string or character. Employee salary is the integer, employee city is the varchar, and employee name is the varchar, and employee ID is the int. Employee ID, I'm not giving the permission to user to write the employee ID because it may be some repetition and redundancy. So I'm increasing employee ID by itself. So there is a provision in the SQL Server auto increment. Just a moment. Auto increment. For auto increment, what we have to do, automatically it will be increased. No intervention will be done on the employee ID of the user. So I'm just set as a primary key. and primary key, because we have to make one primary key. This is a rule of database. So I'm just giving the primary key. Okay. Now after that, select this and go down. Just a moment. We have to cancel the magnification for a few times. Okay. Just a moment. I'm explaining you. Go down. And there's an option full identity specification. Identity specification is there. One second, because it's a very critical part. Without this, everything will be disturbed. Okay. So if it is not properly configured, so identity specification, just maximize it. Go to the is identity section, and here you have to select this value as a true, as a yes. Okay, fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay. Now this table is created. Now simply you have to click on Control plus S to save this table. Control plus S. Table name TBL underscore EMP. No problem. Okay. I'm just clicking on OK. My database work is over. Okay. My database work is over. Fine. So I'm just clicking OK. Database work is over. Application form is only the database connectivity establishment work is there, that we have to done over here. Just a moment. Now what I have to do, just open the Solution Explorer. Okay. And create one folder over here. Add ASP.NET folder, and just right click, then go to the add section, then add ASP.NET folder. And here we can use the app data or app code. Now you can see the two folders are there. App code I am using. Understand? In the app code, I am just clicking the right and add a new class. This class is basically used. This class will be used to transfer or pass the queries. So I'm just taking a class. With the help of this class, we will store our data into the database and the data will be fetched. Okay, one second. So the name of the class is DB manager. Any name we can take, but this class is managing the database. So I'm taking the DB manager. DB manager is the name of class. So just I'm clicking OK. This class is created. So I'm just expanding 200. Okay, fine. Now carefully you have to do something. The two namespaces you have to include using system.data, system.data.SQL client. Using system.data and using system.data.SQL client. Okay. Now this is the class. Okay. We don't require the constructor over here because okay, no need for the object create, no need to execute anything at the time of object creation. Okay. Now here what we have to do, we have to take a SQL connection class. SQL connection class is used to establish the connection. Okay, SQL connection con is equal to new SQL connection, or here I will pass the connection string. I will pass the connection string. I'm just for your demonstration purpose, I'm just writing the connection string. Okay, one important function we have to establish: public bool and insert update delete. This function will be used because why I have created the class, because I want to follow and I want to maintain the object oriented paradigm. object-oriented programming approach I am just following. So object-oriented programming approach basically provides the class and object and the function concept. That's why we are using. It's a systematic way to do the task. So public bool insert update delete, and here we can use the string command. It will accept the query as a parameter. I'm explaining, don't worry about the line, that I will take care. Okay. After that, we have to do something like SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command comma con. In the command, always one query will be stored, and that query will be execute on the con, and con is the object of SQL connection, and SQL connection contain the connection or information of the database where the database is stored in the SQL server. So this query will be executed on this database. I'm just putting a comma over here. Now we have to check one thing very important. Connection is open or not. So if con dot state is equal to connection state dot closed. Connection state closed is a property. If it is true, that means the connection is closed. Then what we have to do? Con dot open. We have to open the connection. And j is equal to my query is framed. My query is framed. But after framing the query, we have to execute the query. Now I'm going to execute the query. So j is equal to cmd dot ismail. Cmd is the object of SQL command, and this class has a very important function, execute non-query. So cmd dot, you have to type execute non-query, and then you can close the brackets. Okay. cmd dot execute non-query. Why this error is showing? Because the reason is that some connection string is missing. Okay, and when it will be open, then there will be no problem in this cmd dot execute non-query. No valid method is execute query, take the 0 argument. cmd dot execute non-query. Okay, why the 0 argument is coming? 1 second, it will be resolved. Just a moment. I'm just taking a little break from here. Okay, it will complete it. Just a moment. I'm just saving this file. Okay, 1 second. Because the connection is still not established, that's why this error is coming. Okay, so first of all, I'm just establishing the connection. Please be careful about that. Go to the SQL server. Go to the SQL server. Here magnification is necessary. Okay, just a moment. Okay, in the right click, add a connection. In the data connections, right click, add a connection. I'm just going to add a connection. Very careful statements over here. We have to give the server name. Okay, 1 second. Server name, how we'll get the server name? Server name, taking the server name is very simple process. Just a moment. Here is my database. Just click on this blue line. Connect Object Explorer. You will open, it will open this window, and just copying this server name. Just copy. And you can do the connection again. And switching to that window once again. Now this copied server name you have to paste over here. Okay, fine. Windows authentication should be selected, must be selected. Now we have to choose our database. My database name was testing database. Just a moment. It will resolve all the name. Here the testing database, you have to properly select the same database, same testing database over here, which we have created in the SQL. Paste it. And click on the test connection. See, the test connection is succeeded. Click on OK. Just click on OK. Fine. This part is over. Just a moment. So here, How to get the connection string? No problem, it's very simple. Just right click, go to the property, right click on this line, right click. Just a moment, again I'm doing the right click and go to the property. In the property, here in the bottom side, I'm just increasing this property area. Okay, this is the connection string. Just copy this entire line, just double click, it will be copied. Be careful about that. This is a property and this is the connection string, and I'm just clicking against that. यहाँ पर you have to click over here, आपको यहाँ पे click करना है and just copying. I'm just copying, and where we have to paste, just close it. That is not required. You have to close over here in this double inverted commas. So I'm just deleting all these string and you have to paste over here. After pasting, you will see some red line over here. It is escape sequence error. Just click one more slash. Understand? Now see, just a moment. It is almost done. Okay, just a moment. I'm just crossing. Okay. Actually, we have to be very careful while typing. The command, basically the function name is execute non-query, and I have taken by mistake and execute non-query. Okay, 1 second. So we have to correct cmd dot execute non-query, because there are so many similar names are available, so anybody can confuse. Now this error is resolved. Okay, whenever we insert some data into the database, so some rows are affected. Suppose one row affected, two rows affected, three rows affected, at least one row will be affected. So if the number of affected rows count will be stored in J. So J will be stored. J will be store the number of affected rows after insertion. So if J is greater than 0, that means record is successfully stored in our database. Okay, so we can return true, else return false. Okay, now everything is done. Okay, this programming part is done, but we have to do some more work. Okay, so how to send the data? Okay, just a moment. I'm just saving all these things and going to the employee. Okay, now just close this portion, and I'm just taking one span for the confirmation point of view. This data is successfully stored in the database or not. So 1 second, span, and not span, I'm just taking ASP colon label, ID is equal to LBL, and color is equal to red. For color is equal to red, and font size is equal to 22 pixel. Fine. Oh, 1 second. It is equal to server. Only the C# coding is pending and everything is done. So I'm just saving all these things and go to the design and click on the save record button. Okay, now this is the code behind portion is opening. Okay, 1 second. We have to write some codes over here. So in the in the basically form, what is coming? Basically, one name is coming, one city is coming, one salary is coming. So accordingly, we have to take the variable. So int sal and name, comma, only salary sufficient. Okay, 1 second. So first of all, what we have to do, we have to make a string variable q to frame the query. So q is equal to insert into tbl underscore, what is the name of table? Just I'm checking the name of table. The name of table is tbl underscore emp. Okay, emp and values. Insert query is basically demanding the values. So first value, we have to transfer name. So where is the name? Name is basically stored in name is basically stored in this text field. In this text field. So what is the ID of this text field? The ID of the text field is txt name. Txt name. Okay. So single quotes, double quotes. The format, you have to understand the format. Single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, single quotes. Between this plus sign, you have to write down txt name. You can see the intelligence support is very high. Txt name dot text. Okay. After the name, city is required. So city, comma, single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, single quotes, and txt city dot text, and one more field is there. Actually, this is an employee salary, and the salary should be transferred in the int mode. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing one thing. Sal variable I've taken. So sal is equal to, we have to convert. So int dot parse and txt sal dot text. Whatever we give in the text box, it will be treated as string. So what I am doing, I am just converting this text value into the integer. Now simply we can pass comma, single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, single quotes. Okay, in between, just a moment, I am just entering over here, and here we can do the sal. Okay, and after that, this double inverted commas we have to close. Before that, we have to close one bracket, and then double inverted commas we have to close, and semicolon. And just a moment, just a moment. Just over here. Okay. Plus sign we have to put. Actually, I have not given the plus sign. Now you can see the complete query. Okay, the query should be come in a straight line because the comma is there and the sum portion is there. That's why this error is coming. No problem. So I'm just single quotes, double quotes, and it's absolutely fine. Okay, so you just look at the query, insert into tbl underscore emp values, single quote, double quotes, plus txt name dot text plus double quote, single quote. For demonstration, I am just breaking the queries, but it is showing the error. Okay, so you have to understand in this state only. Single quote, double quotes, and the salary. Single quote, double quote, txt city dot salary, and single quote, double quotes, and salary, txt city dot text, and salary. Okay, in the last. Now we have to pass this query. So to pass this query, actually we have to create an object of this db manager class, db manager class, because the function, this function, we have to pass this query to this function, and this function is created inside the db manager. So we have to create the object of this class, then only we can access this function. You know the concept of this. So db manager dm is equal to new db manager, and the bracket, now bool, because that function is returning the boolean value. You can see bool. So I'm taking the bool j is equal to dm dot insert update delete. This is the function which I am calling for executing the query. And where is the query? The query is in queue. Okay. Now, if j is equal to true, that means the query is executed or fired successfully. Now, lbl dot text is equal to record inserted successfully, and in the else portion we can write lbl dot text is equal to record not inserted successfully. To statement I have given. Just a moment, I'm just saving all these things. For if you want to write something, I'm just providing the magnify look of this query. So this is a query, q insert into the tbl underscore emp values. And these are the fields, these are the data which I am passing to insert into the table. Txt city.text, and here the salary single quotes double quotes, and the remaining part of the query is below. And after that I'm just creating the object of the class because the function is there. Now I'm calling this function dm is the object insert, and just I'm closing this and saving. Okay, and now I am executing and see what is happening. So what we have to type in the form, we have to give the name. So Mahira, and the city is Lucknow, and the salary is 75,000. And I'm just clicking the save record. Record inserted successfully. Understand? That means our database connectivity is perfectly okay without any error. Understand? I am just showing you this data is stored in the database or not. Then we have to go to the SQL server. Okay, now this is our table. Just a moment, I'm just doing the magnification. Okay, now see, testing data. Testing data is our database and table. Inside the table, you can see tbl underscore emp is there. Just right click and click on select the top 1000 rows. So the data will be displayed in the right hand side corner. Now you can see. This is the recently inserted data which I have sent from my application, ASP.NET application. Employee ID, this is basically what? It's the auto increment field, Mahira, Lucknow, and 75,000. This data I have stored. Again, I'm just running the same code and inserting one more record. Just a moment. I'm just downing this magnification section. Okay. Everything I've done in the front of you. So I'm just closing it, stop debugging, and running once again. I have not given the right to insert the employee ID by the user. Okay. Second name is Anis Alam, and the city is Lucknow, and the salary is. Okay, clicking on the save record. The record inserted successfully. Now we can check in the database. Okay, just right click here. The record inserted. Okay, 1 second. Maybe the save button I have clicked it twice. Okay, just a moment. I'm taking one more record for the surety purpose. And CMAP, and the city is Lucknow. Salary is 67,000. Save records. Okay, now I'm just checking. Here I'm clicking the right and selecting the top rows. Now you can see the single record is coming. By mistake, I have pressed this twice the button. Okay, so that's why it was done. Okay, no, perfectly fine. No problem is there. Okay, I'm just closing it. Okay, now everything is fine. Okay, now you just do the practice on this And please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so you will be stay connected with me. So I will upload some more videos related to the database connectivity. In the next upcoming video, we will see how the data fetch from the database and display in the grids. Okay, that we will see. Okay, in the next upcoming lecture. So I'm just closing each and everything.